Hey everyone, konnichiwa, hola, 大家好, and soon bonjour. Hey guys, so I'm making this video a little bit early. Usually I always want to try to wait till right at midnight, so then or a little bit before midnight, so it's officially like the end of the year review. But the last couple of years was kind of noisy with all the fireworks and crazy stuff happening. So, I'm recording it earlier in the day. But yeah, so I guess first thing, right, review my year and then talk about my plans for next year. Okay, so 2023. 2023 was, I keep telling people it was a hard year for me, but, I don't know, spiritually, I feel like I've grown. God has brought me through a lot. Some things I don't know, I've been debating whether or not to share. And then I finally just decided, you know what? Mm-mm. Those who know how hard this year was for me. And it's just been a lot to take in. But yeah, in spite of everything, I'm still grateful. Um, Regardless. And yeah, so it's been something. A goal that wasn't really a goal, some achievements, let's put it that way, right? Some wins. Managed to have a 2-hour conversation in Spanish, so that was dope. I had a conversation in Chinese for an hour, which is really cool, and especially for someone who's restarting a language, which if you are restarting a language, I don't even I know I will never do that again. It's like, okay, if I'm going to study this language, I'm going to commit to it all the way, right? But I'm absolutely not going to start all over again because, no, for whatever reason, it's just harder the second time. But, um, yeah, definitely takes some patience and stick to itness. So, yeah, after, restarting, and I still had to mix in some English. I think I said that. I still had to mix in some English here and there. But the fact that I was able to do it for an hour, and then I realized, oh, hey, I'm talking to you for an hour. It's so cool. Um, and then even for Japanese, um, that was a bit devastating. That I'll say that for the things I didn't get to achieve. But yeah, um, consistently having practice for a year in Japanese, not every week, but at least, for me, consistent is not every single day or every single week at exactly. Consistency is just, okay, maybe I miss a week or I miss a day, but I'm still doing it. I don't miss a month, right? Or several weeks at a time. And then I come back on for a little while and then I fall right back off again. That's not consistent. So to consistently have practice with someone speaking Japanese once a week, at least once a week, for a year, that was really cool. Now the things I didn't get to do. Oh boy. So my plan for Japanese, right, with the JLPT was to take that this December, right? The JLPT is held twice a year, once in July and then once in December. Yeah. I don't know who I need to petition. I don't even know how to go about starting a petition, but that whole situation was irritating. Um, you know, for those of you who may not know, right, I live here in Texas. Um, to have only like 45 spots for the N2. The N2 alone, like the other spots, I think was around like 40 or something spaces available for like each level, which is stupid in itself. But they only have like 45 spots available for one testing site in a major city that is the fourth largest city in the US. It's not making sense, right? And then to assume it's like, well, you can just go to another testing site. No, I cannot, because that's a plane ticket. That's, room, hotel, cab, or Uber or what. Like, that's a lot of money that's adding up. On top of paying the fee for an exam. And then I heard some people paid their fee for the exam and still didn't get to take the exam in other states. And so it's ridiculous. It's like, okay, for Texas alone, you would need at least 3 testing sites. Just in that major city, you would need at least 3 testing sites, and you would need them to be at least like, I don't even want to say 100, you would need at least 300 spots for just that one for each exam, because it's too many people in that one state. Like, maybe back in the day, people were not interested in taking the JLPT, but they are now. So it's like, whoever, I don't know what we need to do about that in the US, but we really need to petition for that, because it's not fair. And it's like, at that rate, it's like, well, I'll never be able to take the exam, right? Because that's what happened. The test only opened up, like, right when it opens up, you have to register. I didn't know that. It's my first time taking the test. I go to register, it was like, it had only been open not even 2 weeks. It had to have been like a week and a half, right? I go register, all the spaces are filled, and I think the only state that had was Colorado. It had like 90 spaces available, and I'm like, there's no way I can afford a plane ticket to Colorado. Again, plane ticket, hotel, and Uber, because I don't have transportation. And then food, I need to eat. Like, it's too much money. And then honestly, I really started thinking, like, do I even want to take this exam? Is it worth it? So I'm planning to take that in 2025. I'm like, okay, give myself more time to like learn the materials that I need for the N2. And, also save up money just in case I do need to fly to another state, which again, it just feels really stupid. Like, I should be able to take this in my own state. And I don't even know if other countries have this issue. If you're from another country and you've had this issue with the JLPT, please let me know. Like, I really feel like we need to petition them to say, hey, you need more testing sites. This is stupid. This is really stupid. But yeah. And there needs to be a change in the policy where if somebody registers for the test, they pay for the test, and then you don't allow them to take it, well, you need to give me my money back. Because that's not fair either. Unless you can guarantee that, okay, well, we're full, but we're going to let you take it next year because since you've already paid, cool. But if I got to pay you again, that's BS. Anyway, so that's my plan, to try to save up as much money as I can so that come summer 2025, I'll have enough money for all of that stuff. Because like I said, if I have to wait on my own state, I probably will never be able to take that exam. Ever. Because there will never be space. And then it's on a college campus, which also irritated me because I'm like, are the students that are there that study Japanese there or something taking up all the spaces before we even register? I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it. I just know it's irritating and they really need to change a lot with the JLPT, but whatever. Peace and serenity. The peace of God going into this next year, right? So, another thing that I didn't really get to also was with the tutor, right? It was like a halfway thing because halfway into that goal, I ran out of money. I hit a financial snag, and she went up on her fees, which I mean was reasonable because she was a really great tutor. But it was just like, okay, I can't afford this anymore, and so having to go solo dolo, and then once that happened with the JLPT, it was just like all of my motivation toward the end kind of sputtered out. Like that knocked the wind out of me because that's the other thing. Registration opens like a few months before, so registration opened for the JLPT in August. So literally a week and a half into, you have until October to register, and by, you know, like I said, not even a 2 weeks. It's like a week and a half or so, and all the spaces are gone. So yeah. Anyway, ciao. Anyway, yeah. So that was like a halfway met goal. Something else that I did manage to achieve. I started doing like journaling, right? And then I realized I really don't like journaling. I am not a journal person. Like I've tried it, and I cannot get into it. I know there are people like, oh, you're just not disciplined enough, and I don't agree with them. Everybody has their own little niche that they do, and that works for them, right? Just because what works for you doesn't work for them doesn't mean that they're not disciplined enough. It just not may not be for them. It may not be the thing that helps them get to where they need to be. Now, true enough, there are people that are kind of lazy, right? But journaling is not one of those things where I think it has to do with, you know, discipline. It's really more so like, okay, either you're a person who journals or you don't. I was not. So I went from like trying to write journals to actually like using a voice diary. And I started that because I really fell off with journaling, but then finally I was like, okay, around October, just picked it up. And so yeah, I was consistent all through October, and then November, right? Consistently at least had um like 10 days or so at least where it was like, okay, because I had like 30 audio recordings, right, for 3 languages, so it's about like 10 days. So a little bit more than that in October, but it's like, okay, let's at least try to get at least 30 recordings done. And so I just, did that over time. And it was like, hey, like the fact that I stuck with it, right, was really exciting. So yeah, I just carried on into December and gonna keep going on to my New Year's goals. Okay, guys. So yeah, I hate that I don't have my phone with me because then I could like read off the things, but I forgot, and I have my notebook, so yeah, I don't feel like going to get it. So instead, I'm just gonna read my New Year's goals for 2024. Now these are some of my general goals, stuff that I'm either doing for all 3 languages or for all 3 plus the new one, which is French. Okay, so one of the things I would like to do is have 100 days worth of voice diaries. So this is a year for the year. Okay, by the end of the year, I want to have done at least like 100 days total of voice diaries in each language. Okay, and I plan to just rotate them, right? So all together, that should be like 400 recordings. But yeah, 100 days each for each one and just rotate through. Okay, and at least try to do a minute because I also realized when I was doing 5 minutes, yeah, but some days it was like, okay, I would say like maybe 2 minutes or so worth of stuff, and then it's like, I don't have anything else to say. So then on the recording, I'm like, eh. Y ya, ok, bueno, voy a tratar de pensar de otra cosa. try, trying to just come up with some stuff to say, and it's terrible. So yeah. Another thing I want to do is organize my old notes. Because the fact that I realized looking through my old notebooks, this is mainly going to be for Japanese and Spanish, but looking through those old notebooks, and it's like, oh, I took notes on this. So if I had just checked my notebook, I would have had all of that stuff in here, and I wouldn't have had to scramble the earth, for a client or for myself, with some other thing. I already had it, right? So it's like, okay, it's about time. And I think it will be good, a good way to review everything I've learned for those two languages, since I'm not going to be really studying them. It's just going to be more so a year of review and, kind of maintaining, also building on what I know. Now for Japanese, of course, yeah, it would be good, like, to review anyway, because I pretty much have everything up from like N2 to N3 to N2 stuff, and it's just good to just prepare, right? So, um, I also, have some like fun goals, and one of them is to learn how to say all the languages in my language wish list in all four languages. There's a lot of languages on here. Total, it's like 28, including the ones I'm currently studying and the one that I'll be learning next year, right? Altogether, it's like 28. And I actually think it should be more than that. I thought it was 31, but maybe I took like 3 of them off because I was like, I don't know. So yeah. At first I was like, oh, that might be too many. But it's like, you already know how to say at least half of these. It's not that big a goal, right? It's not that big a deal. Sometimes we just overthink things because we look at it and it's like, oh. But then when you really take time, like, well, you mean you kind of you're okay. Like, don't overthink it. Okay. So, other goal. I want to learn one song in each of the languages I study. I want to cook one traditional dish for each of the, from one of the countries that speaks the language I study. I say traditional, right, because I'm plant-based. That, as I said, I'm plant-based. I don't say I'm vegan anymore because, animal rights. So I just say I'm plant-based. And yeah. So it'll be a traditional dish, but it's going to be like the vegan, plant-based version of that, right? I also would like to finish one series in the language. I don't know yet for French. So for now, I just have Terrace House for Japanese, La Reina del Sur for Spanish, and Ita Rencherming. Uh, so for Spanish also, well, I'll wait. I'll wait till I get to that. Okay. But I do have a little mini announcement. Okay. Some other things I want to do. I want to learn some phrases for business, right? Because that's part of what I do is conversation. Okay. And I'm realizing that I'm getting more and more clients who like to travel. I personally have never traveled. I've never been outside the US, never really had a desire to travel until I started learning languages. And even then, it's like, well, I'm not ever going anywhere. I'm not planning to go anywhere. So why do I need to learn this? And so now it's like, okay, I really need to make sure I know it. Like it's in here and I can just teach them, I mean, I still always try to give my clients resources for them to look at and study on their own. But I'm like, okay, I need to know it for myself, right? So I wanted some travel Spanish and Japanese, because I'm not offering Chinese yet, or Mandarin rather. Um, and all the things pertaining to that. And the final goal that I have is just to get 90% or higher on drills and exercises. This is again is mainly for like Japanese and Spanish. So I have some workbooks and some stuff. I got some apps to help me like study, and so that's my goal. Like I have to get 90% or higher, at least by the end of the year, right? Cumulative to achieve like 90% or higher on the drills and exercises. so that I can also see, like, do I actually know this stuff as well as I should? Okay, like, that's important. Now, for my individual goals, Nihongo. Okay. And for Nihongo, Español, in Zhongwen. I don't know why it was with Spanish. I immediately want to stay in that accent, but um, for those three, I'm basically doing like a geography thing because for the longest time I keep saying I want to learn more about the culture and I need to know the geography of these places, and I've never done it. So now I'm finally like, it's that time, right? So one of my goals for Japanese is to memorize all 47 prefectures. I want to know their names. I want to know what region they're in, and try to learn 3 facts about them. Another goal that I have for Japanese is to read volumes 1 through 5 of Baraka Jaku, which is like a manga about a doctor. So a lot of like medical vocabulary that I'm about to learn. But I want to be able to finish at least volumes 1 through 5 of that series. And I know, like, maybe for somebody who's like, that's such a small goal for, to read basically 5 manga in a year. The thing is, I don't really read. I don't really read enough. So it's like, okay, I'm at least gonna do that. And it's like, if you can at least read 5 of these in the year, like, there's 9, I think, in this series. So, and I also want to try to read 60 news articles by the end of the year for Japanese. So I'm using the Todai app, and I'm gonna read 4 kantan, so easy, or yashashi, I think is what it says. So 4 yashashi, which is easy articles, and 1 muzakashi, 1 difficult news article, which I actually did this week, so already on it. Spanish. Same thing, right, that I mentioned, right? I want to know all the names of the Spanish-speaking countries. I want to know the names, the flags. Oh, I am horrible when it comes to, like, the flags for, like, all the countries, but one of the names, the flags, region also if possible, because I'm like, what is the Antilles? I keep hearing people say Caribbean Spanish, but what makes up the Caribbean, right? In Spanish-speaking countries. And I want to know 3 facts also about each of those countries, right? And I want to try to finish 1 comic series in Spanish, which is either going to be season 1. I'm going to say maybe like season 1 and 2, because season 1 I don't think was that long, but we'll see. I got to look at it to see how many like webisodes there are, right? But season 1 of Windbreaker Español, so it's the Spanish translation, or Secretos de Belleza, but Secretos de Belleza is like it turned into a daily webtoon, which means you can only read it if you have like a daily pass, so you can only read like 1 a day. And I don't like that. Like when I read, I like to try to read multiple things. Like maybe I'll read at least 1, but sometimes you're reading, you're like, ooh, you want to read the next one. So I don't know. And I know I need to at least try to read season 1 of Windbreaker before it ends, because it's coming to a head. Like everything is coming to a head on that comic, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta hurry up. So we'll see. Zhongwen. Okay. Again, I want to learn some geography, right? So I want to learn all 34 Chinese provinces, the names, 3 facts, region if possible, because I'm not sure how they're broken up, how each of the provinces are broken up in China, or if it's just, hey, we're all one big country, and these are just the individual provinces, but we'll see. But yeah, I want to learn that. Right now I'm still doing immersive Chinese. That's what kind of helped my Chinese this year, actually, so I highly recommend it. But I want to try to reach the lower intermediate courses on the app. Right now I think I'm in the mid-beginner tier, There's like absolute beginner, I think lower beginner, mid beginner, upper beginner, and then intermediate, lower intermediate. So right now I'm in like the mid beginner. I need to get to lower intermediate. And again, it has like roughly 20 lessons. Each lesson has like 25 sentences where they just constantly are like, bringing back older vocabulary and grammar that you were taught in the previous lessons, while also introducing new words and new grammar and things like that, like one at a time. Okay. So you have like, those 20 lessons plus extra, like two extra lessons or something, I think, and then a bonus lesson. So, yeah. Okay. And like I said, each of them has like 25 sentences. So I'm not trying to do, okay, like all 25, 100 sentences a day. Like, that's crazy. No. But yeah, I'm hoping that's my goal, to at least get to the lower intermediate. If I surpass that, awesome. Okay. I also would like to complete the beginner course on LingoDeer. I started it, I got to a certain point, and that's when I realized I'm not using LingoDeer properly. So the way I plan to use LingoDeer in the future is I'm going to be rotating between four languages, right? That's like the first thing I need to do is learn the new concept, then go back, review that same lesson, then make sure throughout the week to like use the other study materials I have to make sure I understood what I was taught on LingoDeer. And then after that, it's like, okay, now let's move to the next one, right? But the way I was doing it before was, okay, doing a lesson, new thing every day, and I was never reviewing. um, but then also, like, getting to a point where I'm like, I don't understand any of this anymore. None of it is making sense, and I feel like I'm not learning anything, right? Because it's like, yeah, you speed through the first ones because, especially if you've already studied it before, right? But that's not how I want to do it from now on, so I need to do it the right way. And yeah, I'm gonna just take my time, like I'm kind of started on that now. And so just carefully reviewing each one. I love LingoDeer's Escuchar. I'm using it for the Hispanohablantes courses, but like the listening part that they have for your review for Chinese, I prefer that. Just because, okay, I really do have a hard time with my listening, so it's good for that. And also for Chinese, I want to finish all my Anhui books. Anhui needs to like sponsor me. You know what I'm saying? Like I recommend Anhui books to darn near everybody. Um, Anhui is basically like a bilingual children's book app. So they have like a set amount of books on there. You have to pay for them. There's only one that you get for free. You have to pay for the rest of them. But they have like a variety of languages. They don't have a lot of them. I would say maybe the more common ones, right? So like even for Chinese, they only have simplified. I don't think they have traditional. Um, Japanese, Korean, French, German, UK English, US English, Spanish, from European Spanish, Latin American Spanish, right? I think Thai, Arabic, and then I forget after that. It's a few of them. Portuguese, okay? But basically set up to where if you're like me and you like to stack, right? Then you can have the one dominant, the dominant language and then your weaker one, or the weaker one and your dominant. Like it's set up to where you can have two languages and make it into like a bilingual book, or you can just have the one language by itself and read the children's book that way. Okay. Um, but yeah, like I've bought all the books on there over the years, but I still have not finished any of them except for maybe one book, which is Ricky's Week of Weather, you know. And so it's like I really need to finish these books, so I want to finish them for at least one language. The goal is to use Chinese and French, so we'll see. But yeah, I at least want to do it for French or for Mandarin, is to finish those books. Okay, last language, France. France, it should be French. Look, I'm gonna fix it right now. I don't even know why. I think I was tired, so. Okay, so my goal for French, by the end of this year, I want to be able to speak for 30 minutes, like just have a basic conversation for at least like 30 minutes. I feel like that's doable, but we'll see. I mean, if I get 15 minutes, hey, but I'm striving for 30. I want to be able to introduce myself. I want to say the languages I study and for how long. Talk about my favorite color. Introduce my intermediate family, right? Like, I'm the youngest of three, blah, blah, blah. I want to talk about my job and what I do and languages I want to study in the future. I want to be able to describe the weather in French, to talk about my routine, number stuff, like count to 100, tell the time, say the date, and I want to try to complete 13 out of 26 lessons on Lingo Dare. Which again, you know, it's like, okay, learn, you know, see what you're going to be studying throughout the week, and then just repeat, 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 repeat. So yeah, that is it, guys. But yeah, overall, it has been ooh, it's been a hard year, but in spite of everything, I'm still looking forward to the new year with boldness. And I basically was like, okay, God, you're gonna have to help me make a schedule to stay on track. Because on top of this, right, it's like I got a fourth language now, and then I'm taking on, all these other things. Plus, I still have my old projects, and I need a schedule. And even that, right, like having to learn not to take on everything all at one time. Because I realized, like, going into February of every year, right? January, I'm full of energy, I'm ready, but then come February, I'm tired and I'm exhausted. And it's like, yeah, because you were trying to do everything a year in 1 month, right? And so it's like, we're not going to do that anymore. So my ultimate goal is to try to pace myself each month. And it's just like, okay, just focus on these things and don't worry about the other stuff. Those things that you can kind of wait, they can wait. And you just, okay, once this is completed, then you move on to the next task. And that's how we're going to do that. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. And I'm going to try my best to see if I can, like, record myself, like, record my diaries in French and things. And then, like, post them. Originally, I was like, ooh, I would love to, like, record myself saying something in French every day. Like, have a whole year journey of me speaking of. That ain't gonna happen. That's not even gonna happen. Like, I'm not even about to lie. Like, no, it's not gonna happen. But I will do my best to at least make sure I have, like, audio diaries and do that. I originally wanted, like, a recorder that had, like, a USB drive so I could record and then upload, do something like that. But that's probably So we will see. I don't know. I'm still not ready for TikTok. I might, y'all. I got one. I don't know if I'm about that life yet, but we'll see. But yeah, so those are my goals. I still need to finalize my stuff for January, but pretty much I look at the week now. I don't try to plan for the whole month anymore because that's also stressful. And I just look at the week and, like, okay, this is your routine. This is what you're gonna do in the morning. This is what you're gonna do at night. And there you go. So I've already pretty much set all my stuff for today, and that's that. And then tomorrow we'll begin the first day of French. Ah, I'm so excited. I really am. You know, and I don't know, there's just been so many victories won, like mentally, mental health wise, spiritually, like so many victories that's just like, okay. It's like, yeah, well, there were some horrible things that happened, but there were also some really good things that happened too, and stuff that normally would have taken me out, or knocked me down, like, it didn't crush me. And so because of that, I'm just, like I keep saying, I'm just thankful, and yeah. So, alright, y'all. That is it. That is my year in review. That's all the stuff that I'm trying to do. And, yeah. Oh, and yeah, I probably won't be going back to Instagram. Just because, like, yeah, no. Like, my Instagram will be there, but it's pretty much gonna be a closed account, so if you message me on Instagram and I don't respond to you, it's because I'm not using it anymore. I still have a Facebook page. Like I said, I have a tandem. Well, I do have a tandem account. I have my TikTok, which eventually I'll put up a video, I guess, to be like, hey, I'm here. Um, I got something else, child. My YouTube, I mean, if you watching this, I'm assuming you already follow me, but I'm assuming. But yeah, I'll have the links somewhere. But yeah, and I have a little website, so maybe I'll do that. I'll just put the links in my little website, and then y'all can go and follow me through those links. But that's it, y'all. So regardless of what kind of year you've had, rather than having that mindset, this attitude of I can't wait for it to be over, be careful, right? Because regardless, like I said, regardless of what kind of year it is, like there's always a lesson or something to be gleaned or learned. And every time our attitude becomes like, I can't wait for this to be over, I can't, trying to hurry up to get to the next one, you end up losing out. You miss out on things that you should have learned previously to get you through the next one, to the next year. And so because you still haven't learned it, it's like, oh, again? Yes, again. Because clearly God is trying to teach you something that you have not, and you're not trying to listen. So do what you need to do to learn those things that life is trying to show you. So when the next year comes, it's like, oh, this is nothing, right? Like I don't know. Like it took me a minute to get that, but to honestly just be in this place where it's like, okay, like I'm okay, and it's gonna be fine. It feels good. So yeah. All right, this thing long. All right, y'all, let me end it now. Thanks for following me, following along on my journey, and yeah, like I said, I really pray that it is a year full of joy and peace and hope, and prosperity. And I know we hear that word prosperity, we think money, but what I'm learning too is that sometimes, like, prosperity isn't just a financial thing. Like, you can be prospering, like, mental health wise. You can be prospering in joy and peace and stability, like mental stability. You can be prospering in strength, right? Like, because what good does it do to have all this money and then you're mentally unstable? And it's not to say that we want to be broke. Like, I want to be broke the rest of my life. But sometimes you're prospering and you don't recognize that you're prospering because you're too busy looking at what everybody else has and what you don't have. And then you don't even realize that you have more than the person who has, so much junk. It's like, yeah, they got a lot of stuff, but you still have way more than they do. You are more wealthy than that person could ever hope to be, you know? But that's neither here nor there. I'll just go ahead and get off. So, y'all take care. Bye bye. And see y'all next year. Happy New Year.